have a bad feeling about this.
I don't sense anything.
I've got a bad feeling about this. Oh, I have a bad feeling about this.
I've got a bad feeling about...
Hey.
Quiet.
What?
I have a very bad feeling about this.
I got a bad feeling about this.
There's an awful lot of moisture in here.
I don't know. I have a bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I have a really bad feeling about this.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Hey folks, I want to do this while I have a chance before my marathon hangout. All my hangouts seem to be marathon, whether I intend them to be or not. But I just wanted to drop this in real quick because Obsidian asked my opinion on the UBI, the Universal Basic Income. And even though I've done numerous videos, actually from other people's voices and my opinion, and talked about it on numerous hangouts and whatnot over the past 2 years, he actually wanted me to look at a video between Charles Murra and I don't remember the other guy's name, but they're two economists talking about the UBI. And they talk more about implementation than anything else. That's what economists do. They talk numbers and possibilities and how such a system can be implemented, and whether it should be implemented, why should it be implemented under best practices and stuff like that, which there's cons for and against and whatnot. And I want to get this right up front and state it, because I've stated it consistently in everything I've said. The UBI is not perfect. In fact, the UBI is not a great idea. Under better circumstances, the UBI would be a horrible idea. The best idea would be to make sure that people have opportunities for gainful employment or making some kind of living. That would be the best practice or the best program. And I'm sure the vast majority of the people that are actually trying to implement this or experiment with it or put it into practice would agree. It's not a great idea. In fact, it may be a bad idea. Even Charles Murray doesn't, even though he's a proponent of it, you can tell by his face and by his mannerism, he doesn't like the idea. He doesn't like it in good circumstances. He doesn't like it. But here's the catch. And this is something people don't grasp when we talk about the UBI. This is something, I don't know why people are tone deaf when I say it, even though I say it up front about the UBI. The UBI is being pushed, not by people from the lower ranks, not by the peasants, not by the poor people, not by anybody else. The UBI is a top-down initiative. It is not some socialist program to be given to people to solve the ordinary people's problems. That's not what it's for. The UBI is a Hail Mary to save the existing system as it is. There's no way the World Economic Forum, which is the 6 to 10,000 of the wealthiest, most influential people on the globe. You have almost 8 billion people on the globe, and these are the creme de la creme de la creme, the very tip top people that make decisions for what the rest of us are going to do. These are the movers and shakers. When you go to Davos and you rub elbows with those people have power, global power, not local power, not Charles Murray economist power. Charles Murray can only comment on it. He has no power. Bill Gates has no power. Your managers of the globe, not the country, not the city, not the state, but the globe, have come together and looked at opened all the books, so they have access to all the information everything. They look at the pros and cons and they figured out going forward, this is what we must do globally. The United States can do what it wants. It can drag its feet if it wants to. But the rest of the world has decided this is what we must do. From the top down, not from the bottom up. So while first thing I want to get out, while we can debate the facts of whether this is a good idea from our perspective or not, at the end of the day, we don't count. We don't have a voice. We don't have a dog in this fight because it will be implemented. And if we don't implement it, pressure will be put on us financially till we do implement it. Everybody talks like the United States is not connected to the rest of the world. It's not true. 250 years ago when the United States was founded as a colony of Great Britain, and it's damn sure not true today, where the United States formerly sat over as the empire over the rest of the globe. You are connected. 60% of the money that your corporations bring in is outside the United States. Your corporations are global, not local. And when the managers of the world speak, those corporations will heed, or they will be brought to heel. As Americans, and especially as American sheep, as I like to call us, we think we're going to bum rush the shepherd. It ain't going to happen, especially in this environment. You could rebel. I'm gonna get into predictions. You could rebel. United States could rebel. Can say we don't want the UBI, we don't want this, that, or the other. We want libertarian ideas and all that stuff. And what's going to happen is that the United States is going to break up into about 10 parts. And that breakup, that interim, you're going to be very vulnerable because it's going to cost you a lot of people. And there probably will be running wars going on between these 10 parts trying to separate. And in the meantime, Russia, China, and the BRICS will absorb you. How do you eat an elephant? Not whole. You eat them one bite at a time. And if we break up into edible morsels, it'll be just that much easier. The globe has agreed that this is the way forward for a very good reason. Capitalism, as we have known it for the past 200 years, has reached a roadblock. It is on life support. With zero interest rates around the world, that is life support. It has cost you money in your pension funds for retired people. Your debt is so high it cannot be paid. And that's just a debt internally. We're not even talking about what we owe the rest of the world. Just that. China and the rest of the world will give us debt forgiveness, but it's going to come at a price. As nobody, no politician, no mayor, no spokesman ever come down to the regular folks and debated whether they wanted the universal basic income or not. They haven't said shit to us. They just said, we're going to test it out and it's going to get implemented. Why? Because it is the only shot they have to keep this system alive. There's two things that they're going to have to do. And this is something that is starting to be borne out more and more over the past 2 years. There's three things it's going to have to do. They're going to have to automate. They're going to have to change their banking system to cryptocurrency or electronic currencies and blockchain, because nobody trusts each other. And there's going to have to be some kind of debt jubilee because this insurmountable debt that increases by 5-10% every year cannot be managed anymore. There's $200 trillion worth of debt. It can't be managed anymore. You can never pay that back. It can never be made whole. So instead of fighting over who owes what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to say, we're going to have to find a way out. The universal basic income is that bridge, is that way out, is the door. Now, how long it's going to last, whether it's going to be permanent, it's going to last 5 years, 10 years, 20, we do not know. And we probably don't know because they don't know. because they're just now testing this. Why are they rushing to test this over many different countries in many different places all at once? Mr. Trebek, can I buy a clue? Buy a clue, folks. Nobody ever said the universal basic income was a great idea. Nobody ever said it. But if you have to automate, what's going to happen to people's jobs? They are undercounting the impact of automation. I document this stuff almost every day. I don't even put up half the 90% of the stuff that I get. I don't even put up. Heard a guy from UK said the UK doesn't need to automate. It's like, am I talking to children? They can't read? That's what it blows my mind. Am I talking to children? I just want to say to Obsidian, we don't have a fucking choice about the universal basic income. We do not have a choice. We do not have a choice. You say most people will not accept the universal basic income. I say bullshit. When they hand you your walking papers and they push you out on the street and introduce you to Robbie the robot that has just taken your job and your partner's jobs because they can actually do it twice as fast and work 24 hours a day with minimum maintenance. Hell, I showed a robot picking freaking strawberries. You know how difficult it is to pick strawberries? How skilled you have to be to pick strawberries without crushing them? That's as a human being. Where they have robots picking strawberries. You have buildings that have vertical farms where you have one person running the whole vertical farm. You have robots doing backflips. And this is just the beginning. You have to remember one thing. The one thing that the economist was saying that I thought was really naive and really disingenuous. He said you have to look at what's going on now. And knowing that an economist, how they project things, I'm sure he knows about Moore's law, that the capacity and the abilities double every year and a half to 2 years. Every 2 years, the capacity doubles. So the robots will only get twice as good in 2 years. So from 2017, which was the initial target, well, basically 2016 to 2025, or 2015 when they actually thought about it, to 2025 is 10 years. That means the robots will have developed in speed, efficiency, and abilities eightfold. You got 3D printers making houses in a day, whereas it took a human being 2 months to build a house. You have them put it in a day. You have machines digging tunnels and for subways, where would take human beings 5 years to dig the same tunnel. They do it in months. You have artificial intelligence machines like Watson doing medical diagnosis in seconds with one machine, one AI that does hundreds or thousands, and as accurate as a doctor that has been doing it for 10 years. Just as accurate. Some law offices laying off. Car manufacturers with nothing but, where they used to employ 10,000 people, where they have 100 people basically doing quality control, and the rest of the factory is all mechanized. Self-driving cars are already on the streets in Phoenix as we speak, without drivers. No experimentations in Phoenix, Arizona. They're already there. And Congress has moved, just in the United States, it's already removed the barriers to self-driving cars, like services like Uber and Lyft. They've already removed that. And they want 250,000 autonomous vehicles by the end of 2018. I just posted an article that most of the tax cuts, the tax rebates that corporations are going to get to bring industries back into the United States They're going to be used to automate jobs. And that was Business Insider that said that. It wasn't me. 80% of the jobs that we have in the United States can be automated right now, as we speak. If they wanted to implement it, there's technologies right now that could actually put 80% of us out of work right now. That hasn't been implemented because the damage it can actually do to the economy. It hasn't been implemented, but in 7 years, damn sure it will be, because the robots will get better and get cheaper. And they have to, because China's already doing it. You won't be able, if China is automating their workforce, their factories, and they have some of the cheapest labor on the planet. Like their labor is like maybe a tenth of what we get paid. I think they said the skilled worker in Chinese makes $1,000 a month, compared to a skilled worker in the United States that makes 6 or 7. Now, I'm going to be reasonable. Just saying. I'm going to be reasonable, because this is just a rant. I'm going to be reasonable. Just say for argument's sake, there was a 50-50 chance that you were going to need the UBI, the Universal Basic Income. Just saying, it's a 50-50 chance. In 2025, do you want to actually try to implement something on a grand scale that's this big as an emergency measure with 8 billion people on the planet? Does that sound like a smart move? These people are not stupid. They've seen this coming for quite some time, because they've opened the books. They know how bad the pension plans and the security net and what it's going to cost, how much trouble it's actually in, and how much, probably to the penny, how much they're going to have to pay for it. Are they going to share it with us? No, because we're sheep. Trust and believe they are not doing this for our benefit. They're doing this to keep their system alive. So the system does not work without a society. And reluctantly, they're actually going to do this. They're not giving you money. They're paying you to keep their system alive. The powerful and the wealthy have never given a shit about the people lower than them. And it's not social. I could tell you, most of the socialists actually hate this idea. Richard Wolff can't stand this idea. The guy that was opposite Charles Murray was on the left. He can't stand this idea. They would rather remake the workforce and the way wealth is distributed and work is distributed on a grand scale, which in this case may or may not work. But that would mean you would suppress all the discoveries in automation, because you're trying to say, well, this is communist, this is socialist. The biggest driver of this automation going forward in robotics is not the United States, it's China, the largest communist country on the planet. Now, unless you want to say China is no longer communist or socialist, we can argue about that. But right now, this is not a left. This is not a right or left idea. Because you have communists on the left, the far left. You got the capitalists in Europe and the United States on the far right coming to the same conclusion. If they're both coming to the same conclusion, it must be one damn thing that it's a clear choice. This is the way forward. The World Economic Forum wrote a whole book on this stuff. It is not rocket science. They've been talking about this forever. And this is the solution that they've come up with. So all this debate about whether it should or shouldn't and how it doesn't mean squat at the end of the day, it's going to be implemented. Of course, they know that it could go badly because it's never been done before. I've always said this, and I'm going to end with this. If what they're talking about or projecting to come down the pipe actually comes true, And it looks like it will because it's becoming true faster than they actually expected. They were talking about 2030 or 2035. And they've lowered it 10 years to 2025 because of the pace of technology. If what they're saying is true and it's coming down the pike with especially in the United States, with a whole lot of pension plan funding that's short. If you value your country and you value your society, you better hope to God this works. Yeah, because if you do not, if it does not work, we're in deep shit. And like they say in Star Wars, I have a bad feeling about this. Well, with that, I'm going to cut this off. This is BGS out, and I'll see you guys later.